to this session. In this lecture, we are going to cover gram-positive bacteria in detail. We'll start with an overview and classification, then move through their key features, pathogenesis, clinical importance, virulence factors, and toxins. After that, we'll look at laboratory diagnosis, antibiotic resistance, and treatment. Finally, we'll highlight the key differentiating points of each bacterium so you won't feel any confusion while studying. I'll also share some helpful mnemonics to make learning easier and more memorable. By the end of this section, you will understand every gram-positive bacterium in detail, with no confusion left, that's my assurance. So, without any delay, let's get started with the topic. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone. In this slide, we are going to cover the classification of gram-positive bacteria. This is one of the most important slides in the whole lecture. Gram-positive bacteria are broadly classified into three groups: Cocci, Bacilli, and filamentous bacteria. Among the Cocci, they are further divided based on the catalase test into catalase positive and catalase negative. The catalase positive group includes Staphylococcus and Micrococcus. Within Staphylococcus, we go one step further with the coagulase test. If the test is positive, we identify it as Staphylococcus aureus. If the test is negative, then it belongs to the coagulase negative Staphylococci, or cons, which mainly include three types: Staphylococcus epidermidis, Staphylococcus saprophyticus, and Staphylococcus lugdunensis. So, the logical flow is simple. First, you see gram-positive bacteria on gram staining. The very next step is to perform the catalase test. If it is catalase positive, then you think of Staphylococcus or Micrococcus. From there, you perform the coagulase test, which finally helps you differentiate Staphylococcus aureus from cons. Now, if the catalase test is negative, the gram-positive Cocci are further divided into Streptococcus and Enterococcus. Streptococcus itself has several classifications, for example, based on the type of hemolysis on blood agar, or based on the Lancefield grouping. We will discuss those details later. For now, I just want to give you an outline so that you get a clear overall picture of gram-positive bacteria. Once you have that big view, studying each group in detail will become much easier. Next is Enterococcus. Enterococci are again divided into species such as Enterococcus faecalis and Enterococcus faecium, which are clinically important. Okay, now we have completed Enterococcus. The next major group is the gram-positive bacilli. These are classified mainly based on whether they form spores or not. So first, what are spores? Spores are a highly resistant, metabolically inactive form of the bacteria. They allow survival under harsh conditions such as heat, drying, and disinfection. Spores also help bacteria escape our immune defenses and persist in the environment. Among the spore-forming bacilli, they are again divided into aerobic and anaerobic. The aerobic spore formers include the Bacillus species like Bacillus anthracis and Bacillus cereus. The anaerobic spore formers are the Clostridium species, which we will study in detail later. Now, coming to the non-spore forming bacilli. These are also divided into aerobic and anaerobic types. The aerobic non-spore formers include Corynebacterium, Listeria, and Erysipelotrix. The anaerobic non-spore formers mainly include Actinomyces. After bacilli, the next classification is the filamentous bacteria. These are long, thread-like chains or branching filaments that often resemble fungal hyphae when viewed under the microscope. Because of this, they are usually described as having a thread-like appearance. Just like bacilli, filamentous bacteria are also classified into aerobic and anaerobic types. The aerobic phylum Entaus bacteria include Nocardia, while the anaerobic group includes Actinomyces. Now, let's go through a very important table, the gram-positive Cocchi classification table. After the catalase test, if the result is positive, the bacteria belong to Staphylococcus. If negative, they belong to Streptococcus. For catalase-positive Cocchi, Staphylococcus, the next step is the coagulase test. If coagulase is positive, we identify it as Staphylococcus aureus. If coagulase is negative, the organism is unknown at this point, so we perform the novobiosyn test. Staphylococcus saprophyticus is novobiosyn resistant, while other coagulase-negative staphylococci are novobiosyn sensitive. Now, for catalase-negative cocci, Streptococcus, we classify them based on hemolysis on blood agar. Alpha hemolysis is partial hemolysis. The main organism here is Streptococcus pneumoniae. To confirm it is S. pneumoniae, we perform bile solubility, optogen sensitivity, and inulin fermentation tests. Beta hemolysis is complete hemolysis. The main organisms are Streptococcus pyogenes and Streptococcus agalactiae. To identify S. pyogenes, we use the bacitracin test. For S. agalactiae, we use the CAMP test and hippurate hydrolysis test. Gamma hemolysis means no hemolysis. The organism here is Enterococcus, which belongs to group D. It can grow in 6.5% NaCl, 40% bile, and pH 10.6, and also shows bilesculin positivity. This step is very important because once you understand this table, you can easily identify and differentiate all gram-positive cocci in the lab. In this video lecture, we have completed the classification of gram-positive bacteria and also the detailed classification of cocci. This provides a basic outline of all gram-positive bacteria. If you study these concepts carefully, you will have a strong foundation and can easily build on it to learn the other details. Here, I've also shared an image of gram-positive cocci to help you visualize their arrangement and features. I hope you have understood the lecture clearly. My aim here was to give you a basic yet structured outline so that you can learn the details later without any confusion. Once you keep this framework in mind, studying each organism in depth will become much easier.